Alex, welcome to Talk Satellite.
Thanks, Kevin. It's a pleasure to be here. And by the way, welcome to the Mobile World Congress.
Briefly, can you bring us up to date with GSMA's activities in working with the satellite industry?
We've had satellite members of the GSMA pretty much from the beginning, like more than 30 years ago. But obviously with the recent developments in satellite, there's a new impetus. We have around about, I think, 20 plus satellite members. And we've established our own, we call it our NTN community. There's about 50 organizations in that, but that's a mixture of satellite, terrestrial, etc. And they're working hard on the practical problems. It's one thing putting NTN in a standard, but the standards only go so far. You have some practical problems to solve around interoperability, roaming, even something as boring as device certification. So we're working on those to try and define the problems. And then we have our traditional working groups. That's where we actually do specification work. So if there's any real hard specs that need to be done, then we transfer those to the working groups as well.
Year on year, we are seeing more and more satellite players looking for that opportunity to be involved with the mobile operator.
Well, I'm glad you said that because it gives me an opportunity to shamelessly plug GSMA Intelligence because they actually do an NTN Tracker. And if you look at that, it's all of the publicly announced cooperations between satellite and terrestrial operators. And I think you would be surprised to see how many there are. Obviously, they've been sort of drip-fed for the last 10 months. But yeah, I mean, some of them have amassed quite a large number, and it's not always the one you think. Actually, some of the new players also have a large number of agreements as well. So yeah, it's lively and new announcements pretty much every month.
Can you format the opportunities on offer and define where it all fits together? We have NTN, we have 5G, G hubs, 6G innovation, D2D connectivity, and so forth.
Yeah, that's a lot to chew in one sentence, but if we split them back out again, obviously NTN in general, a lot of it for us is how you optimize terrestrial and non-terrestrial assets. So, for example, with our ESA collaboration that we did, the first company out of the gate was called NextWorks, and they were demonstrating the orchestration over terrestrial and satellite. One of the applications was using IoT sensors for precision irrigation of crops. So that's the kind of stuff we do on the NTN side, if you like. AI is obviously a little bit more forward-leaning, but some of that is, we have two things. We call one thing AI for networks, which is basically where we're using like AI like everybody else. And in our case, that might be, for example, trying to optimize handovers between terrestrial and satellite. And the other one is basically the opportunity, which is, can we use the framework, the fabric? Would that be a benefit to AI providers in some way? That's kind of the AI space, obviously pretty new. 5G, 6G, more of the same. We're looking at, satellite's been a core part of 5G since it was defined. And luckily that's starting to find itself into chipsets, which means into devices. And obviously 6G is still very early stage, so it's important that we track those new developments again. The most significant different thing in the 6G sort of tool bag at the moment is what we call integrated sensing and comms. I'm not sure how that fits in the mix, but that's the kind of thing that might fit into that particular bucket, as it were. And again, some of it is labs. It's stuff you want to try. This is really early. 6G won't even be standardized for another couple of years. It won't be ready until the end of 2028. So this is kind of a little bit ahead of the curve, and I probably missed one out. But direct-to-device obviously is the sexy thing that everyone's talking about. Again, it's doing practical stuff to demonstrate what you can do with it. In real-world terms, the phone in my pocket already has direct-to-device, but it's emergency SMS. We've already seen systems doing SMS, voice. This year, we should see the first one starting to do broadband. It may not be completely contiguous, but we'll start to see that. And then, I guess, direct-to-device is generally considered to be in the consumer market, but just don't forget the IoT devices and all the other stuff as well, because that's an equally interesting market.
Business models do you see best serving the market?
I'm completely and utterly biased. I represent 700 plus mobile phone operators around the planet. Partner with our members. It's not just that it solves a lot of practical problems in terms of customer acquisition and retention. It's also the easiest path from a regulatory point of view, because basically they're national, they're regulated. If you work with them, they should either remove that hurdle or go a long way towards it. Yeah, I think for us, it's a fantastic relationship. Satellite is a perfect complement. Now, you can, of course, go direct, and there are players doing that. But then there are a number of practical problems they have to solve as well, from simple things like landing rights to regulations, all the things around the kind of telco regulations that may or may not be applied to satellite. Obviously, we generally believe that they should be applied because it's a similar service, but some would differ.
Standards, regulatory, cooperation, collaboration. Is there a pathway starting to materialize?
Well, certainly from the standards, it's pretty clear, and that's been clear for some time now. So obviously by including NTN in 3GPP standards, you're hopefully going to get the kind of scale that has always eluded satellite. And it's not just about lowering price. It's also about, particularly on the device side, it's also about increasing the pace of innovation. Because if you look at smartphone innovation, it's pretty rapid. If you look at standard satellite terminals, less so. So standards, we're good. I think spectrum, of course, we're going to have lots of interesting discussions around, are we using IMT spectrum? That would usually be in partnership with an operator. That works. And if you're using MSS spectrum, obviously that works as well. And what we've got to be careful about is obviously we're concerned about interference, potential interference between satellite and terrestrial. Not a new topic. All the usual arguments about power levels, flux, and all the rest of it. But, that it's important that a new service doesn't actually interfere with an old one that serves 6 billion people. Of course, the ITU is still relevant in multiple ways. For one thing, they set the tact, the tempo for the Gs effectively. In their parlance, 6G is 2030. And obviously, the World Radio Conference is pretty important. The next one's in 27. There'll be a number of items tabled that people will be discussing animatedly about. So, yeah, very important as well.
Alex, thank you very much for coming along today.
It's my pleasure, Kevin.